The prince was confronted with allegations concerning his true paternity, suggesting that James Hewitt, rather than his presumed father, is his biological parent. This situation marked a significant milestone as the prince became the first member of the royal family to undergo cross-examination in a court proceeding in over 130 years. Expressing his concerns, Prince Harry disclosed that he had apprehensions regarding the intentions of British tabloid journalists, fearing that they sought to establish James Hewitt as his father in order to undermine his position within the royal family. These remarks were presented in a witness statement released on Tuesday morning, highlighting the unprecedented nature of the event. Within his statement, Prince Harry meticulously documented a multitude of articles, which he believes were obtained unlawfully by Mirror Group newspapers, MGN, including instances of voicemail hacking. Notably, one such article, published in the Sunday People in 2002, was titled, "Plot to Rob the DNA of Harry," detailing an alleged scheme to acquire a DNA sample from him for the purpose of verifying his parentage. These rumors regarding James Hewitt being his biological father emerged following his mother's admission of an affair with Hewitt during her Panorama interview with Martin Bashir. In his statement, Prince Harry elucidated, "Various newspapers had propagated rumors suggesting that James Hewitt was my biological father, a man with whom my mother had a relationship after my birth. At the time when this article and others similar to it were published, I was unaware that my mother had not encountered Major Hewitt until after my birth. It was only around 2014 that I became aware of this timeline, although I now understand that it was commonly known among the journalists employed by the defendant. At the age of 18, having lost my mother merely 6 years prior, stories like these had a profound and distressing impact on me. They inflicted emotional harm and felt distressingly plausible. I constantly questioned the motives behind such stories. Could it be that these newspapers aimed to sow doubt in the minds of the public, potentially leading to my exclusion from the royal family?" Prince Harry expressed in his statement, reflecting upon the hurtful, malicious, and callous nature of these publications. Prince Harry addressed the rumors surrounding James Hewitt as his father in his memoir, titled Spare. In the book, he writes, "There were even discussions that certain reporters were attempting to obtain my DNA to prove it, a realization that first hinted at the fact that, after subjecting my mother to torment and forcing her into seclusion, they would soon come after me." Following his arrival at the High Court on Tuesday morning, Harry's testimony was made public. He emerged from a black SUV in central London shortly before 10 a.m., dressed in a dark suit, and courteously greeted the awaiting reporters with a "good morning." He is providing evidence in his legal case against Mirror Group newspapers, the publisher of the British tabloid, the Daily Mirror. The accusation leveled against the publication is based on the alleged dissemination of stories derived from illegally obtained information. When asked by his own lawyer, David Sherburne, how he would prefer to be addressed upon taking the stand, Harry requested to be referred to as Your Royal Highness for the first instance and subsequently as a Prince Harry. After a brief recap of his witness statement, MGN's lawyer, Andrew Green, initiated the cross-examination process, which is set to continue on Wednesday. Green has earned a reputation as an accomplished litigator, described by a prominent legal journal as a beast in court. Legal 500 lauds his exceptional skill in cross-examination, noting that his charming demeanor resonates with the judge and heightens the impact of his incisive questioning of witnesses. Harry was initially expected to appear in court the previous day, but he was absent due to his celebration of his daughter's second birthday in California. This unexpected absence prompted a rebuke from a surprised judge overseeing the proceedings. During Prince Harry's absence, his lawyer outlined the case, asserting that he had been subjected to systematic surveillance by reporters and investigators affiliated with MGN. This alleged surveillance had a detrimental impact on Harry's relationships, as he wrongly suspected close friends of leaking information to the newspapers. Additionally, Harry's lawyer, Sherburne, contended that MGN conducted surveillance on Harry's mother, Princess Diana, which contributed to her feelings of paranoia and isolation. Upon being sworn in this morning, Harry's comprehensive witness statement was made public. The statement examined 33 articles published by MGN about Harry, elucidating how he was effectively assigned a predefined role by the tabloid press. In his statement, Harry wrote, "As a member of the royal family, the tabloid press assigns each of us a specific role. Initially, we are treated as blank canvases while they determine our character, vulnerabilities, and potential temptations. Subsequently, they push us towards fulfilling the roles that best suit their agenda and maximize newspaper sales, particularly when one is perceived as the heir to the heir. Thus, I was either labeled the playboy prince, the failure, the dropout, or, in my case, the fico, the cheat, the underage drinker, the irresponsible drug taker, and the list goes on. He continued, reflecting on his teenage and early 20s experiences, stating, I found myself inadvertently conforming to the headlines and stereotypes they wished to impose upon me. I believed that if they were publishing such baseless allegations and people were believing them, then I might as well live up to their expectations, so to speak. Harry expressed that this mindset led to a downward spiral, where tabloids incessantly tried to manipulate him, a vulnerable young man, into engaging in reckless behavior for the sake of a sensational story and increased newspaper sales. In hindsight, Harry deemed such behavior by the tabloids as utterly reprehensible. Prince Harry revealed that the tabloid papers took a pleasure in sabotaging his relationships, as being single made him a more enticing subject for their articles, resulting in higher newspaper sales. He expressed, whenever I entered into a relationship, the tabloids were eager to report the details initially, but then swiftly attempted to create strain and foster distrust to dismantle it. This twisted agenda persists even now, despite my marriage. Furthermore, Harry stated, I never had a girlfriend or a relationship that the tabloids did not interfere with, using any means available to them, often resorting to unlawful methods. He argued that the articles published about him were frequently erroneous but contained fragments of truth, which he believes were likely obtained through voicemail interception or other illicit means of gathering information. These distorted narratives created an alternative version of himself and his life for the general public, with whom he interacted as part of his royal duties. The consequences were such that anyone he encountered could easily have formed a negative opinion based on the fabricated stories, leading to potential harm. Subsequently, Harry delved into the 33 sample articles in question, explaining his belief that they were founded on unlawfully acquired information. He disclosed that he received his first mobile phone from the institution when he enrolled at Eton, while he was still a minor. Throughout his life, he was never the registered account holder for any of his mobile phones and seldom received phone bills. He had been under the impression that the institution, presumably for security reasons, managed these matters on his behalf, although he now finds it ironic considering the circumstances. Prince Harry recounted his experiences with voicemail hacking, expressing that he would only check his voicemail when a new message notification appeared on his phone. However, there were instances where the notification would disappear before he had the chance to listen to the voicemail. He was unsure about the time frame in which the messages were listened to, presuming that they vanished immediately. He vividly recalled people asking him if he had received their voicemail, both in personal and work-related contexts. He would respond negatively and sometimes attempt to retrieve the voicemail but couldn't locate it. The hacking incidents created a profound sense of paranoia within Harry's relationships. He became instantly suspicious of anyone mentioned in a story about him. This erosion of trust deeply affected him, particularly at a young age. As he unraveled the extent of the unlawful activities carried out by MGN's journalists and senior executives against him, he felt a certain relief, realizing that his suspicions toward friends and family had been misplaced. However, he also experienced sadness for the immense impact it had on his formative years. In addition, Harry discussed the Mirror's intrusion into his mother's, Princess Diana's, private phone calls during Piers Morgan's tenure as editor. He expressed his disgust at the thought of Morgan and his team eavesdropping on his mother's intimate and sensitive messages, just as they had done to him. He further mentioned the distressing period his mother endured leading up to her tragic death in Paris, emphasizing his determination to hold those responsible, including Mr. Morgan, accountable for their repugnant and unwarranted behavior. The revelation of these actions made him physically sick and strengthened his resolve for justice. Prince Harry further criticized Piers Morgan, who has emerged as one of the most prominent critics of both Harry and Meghan. He expressed regret that, as a consequence of his legal action against the Mirror Group, he and his wife have faced a barrage of distressing personal attacks and intimidation from Morgan. He noted that Morgan had served as the editor of the Daily Mirror from 1995 to 2004. And suggested that these attacks were likely retaliatory, with the aim of pressuring him to abandon his pursuit of holding Morgan accountable for his unlawful actions toward both Harry and his mother during his tenure as editor. In an unprecedented departure from traditional royal protocols, Harry launched an extraordinary critique of the government. He explained his motivation for bringing the legal case, stating, "The global judgment of our country is influenced by the state of our press and our government, both of which, in my belief, have reached a low point. Democracy falters when the press fails to scrutinize and hold the government accountable, opting instead to align themselves with those in power to maintain the status quo." Despite no longer having an official role within the institution, Harry emphasized his responsibility, as a member of the British royal family and as a soldier upholding important values, to expose the criminal activities in the interest of the public. He asserted that the country and the British public deserve to know the true extent of what transpired in the past and continues to occur. Harry firmly believed that revealing these depths of wrongdoing would ultimately lead to a better future for the nation and its citizens.